Good day. Welcome to Politics in Africa, Post 213, Study Session 1, Introduction. In this study session, we will discuss politics in African context. We will also discuss the extent to which the conventional definitions of politics are applicable to politics in Africa, including certain aspects of politics in Africa that distinguish it from politics in Europe and North America. For example, learning outcomes. When you have studied this study session, you should be able to 1. Define politics. 2. Explain why those definitions are valid even for politics in Africa. 3. Discuss the definition of African political region, to which our notion of Africa will always apply throughout this course. 4. Discuss the peculiarities of African politics. 5. Describe the various political changes Africa underwent since the colonization of the continent. What is politics? Political scientists have not been able to agree on a common definition for politics. This is essentially due to the fact that it is not possible for all of them to see politics from the same angle. As you proceed in your study of political science, you will appreciate why different political scientists view politics from different angles. I shall give you just 2 definitions here. The first one is from Vernon van Dijk. This is as follows. Politics involves the struggle among actors pursuing conflicting desires on public issues. The other one is from David Easton, and it says, politics is the authoritative allocation of values. It should be noted that, although those definitions are given by non-Africans as a result of their study of politics in Europe and North America, you must know that they are also valid for Africa in the same measure as they are valid for all geographical areas and human societies. Therefore, whenever we talk of politics in Africa, we mean the totality of the moves and maneuvers that are involved in relation process of authoritative allocation of values in African states. Or, you can use the first definition, that is, how political actors in African states conduct the struggle for the pursuit of conflicting desires on public issues among themselves. By Africa, in the context of this definition, we mean the whole geographical area encompassing continental African states, Madagascar, and all the islands surrounding Africa. This is the definition given by the Organization of African Unity to African political region. See the Charter of Organization of African Unity, Art, Section 1, Subsection 2. Although African people are now found not only in Africa, but also in Europe, North America, Latin America, and Central America, as well as the Caribbean. Our focus as far as this course is concerned is only of the politics in the states and societies that constitute the African political region, defined in the OAU Charter Art, Section 1, Subsection 2. Reference will, however, be made to all these political regions as occasion demands. Hint: whenever we talk of politics in Africa, we mean the totality of the moves and maneuvers that are involved in relation process of authoritative allocation of values in African states. Sources and peculiarities of politics in Africa. Politics in Africa cannot be defined differently from politics in other political regions of the world. This is because the essence of politics remains the same all over the world. In like manner, the broad objectives of politics remain the same, irrespective of creed, race, and geographical location. What makes the difference between, for instance, politics in Western Europe and politics in Africa is the way politics is conducted in both places. This involves a lot of factors including structure of the society, prevalent mode of production, external linkages, as well as psychosocial ones whose roots lie in the historical experience of individual political actors and that of the society as a unit. When two societies do not share these factors, we should not expect the conduct and outcome of politics to be the same for both societies. If we do, we are making the same mistake as the man who expects his cat to produce a puppy. Since the 19th century, the conduct and outcome of politics in Africa have not been the same as in Europe, nor have they been what they used to be in the 17th and 18th century Africa. It is these remarkable differences that make the study of contemporary African politics a worthwhile enterprise. Otherwise, one could say, he who knows politics in Europe knows politics in Africa. European penetration and the peculiarities of politics in Africa. Certain things are peculiar to politics in Africa. It would be wrong to say that all the peculiarities that we observe in African politics today are directly traceable to the activities of European countries in the 19th century, which were directed towards the establishment of dominance over African societies. Some were already there before the penetration. Let us take 19th century African politics and societies as an example. Political anthropologists tells us that they had very little in common with their European counterparts. The structure of politics and structure of power in the polities differed from the prevalent structures in Europe. This was essentially due to the fact that both continents operated different political economies at the period. The second set of peculiarities came about as a result of dominance exercised by Europe on African societies for periods ranging from about 60 years in the case of the peoples that now form the Nigerian society and about 500 years in the case of Angola. A political anthropologist, George Balandier, describes the various political changes which Africa underwent since European colonization of the continent. The most important ones are as follows. 1. Creation of artificial boundaries without respect for cultural and economic similarities of old political units, e.g., the Old Kingdom of Congo was divided into two states, Congo and Angola. The one Congo was administered until 1960 by Belgium, while the other, Angola, was held as an overseas province of Portugal until she was defeated in the War of Liberation by Angola nationalists in 1975. 2. Depoliticization of the polity. In the colonial situation, the colonizer reduced every political problem into a technical one. In this manner, the pre-colonial political process was destroyed and political activities were driven underground. Whatever remained of the pre-colonial political structures of the colony was preserved by the colonized through skill. 3. The weakening of the economic position of traditional rulers resulted in limiting their power, while the colonial administration also encouraged appeal to the colonial administrator against age-long exercise of traditional power. Only inferior chiefs were eventually preserved, while warrant chiefs were created by the colonial administration to serve it where none existed before. 4. The operation of two incompatible systems of power and authority. The mere existence of two systems of power and authority operating within a single polity created political confusion. The coexistence of tradition and modernity gave rise to the birth of a hybrid political system, a strange creature. Now that you know the sources of the peculiarities of politics in Africa, you will agree with me that the study of such a strange political model will increase our knowledge of politics generally. The African student of political science has an additional interest in African politics because he or she is part of the political society that is being studied. He or she has the moral obligation to contribute to the improvement of his or her political environment where such environment is necessary. Study session summary. In this study session, we took a cursory look at popular definitions of politics and why they are valid for the African political region. We discussed the peculiarities of African politics and the various political changes Africa underwent since the colonization of the continent. End of study session 1. Thank you for listening.